Yo, what's up? Y'all, thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm outside with it today. Just kind of wanted to change up the scenery, get a little bit of air. So y'all might hear a plane or something. If so, I'm just probably going to let it pass by so I don't have to scream. If not, we good. We Gucci. Welcome to my channel. Thank y'all for hitting that play button. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Share whatever you feel is necessary. It's been a couple of weeks, so I just want to thank y'all for just kind of hanging around and watching my videos, even though I'm not as consistent as I would like to be. I do really appreciate that. I posted a video on my Facebook page yesterday about how I didn't realize until a couple hours later that the video didn't post in its entirety, but it was basically about how we kind of have to extend the same grace that we give ourselves to others, and also just about holding ourselves to the same kind of standards and responsibility that we hold pastors and leaders to. And so I haven't really decided what I wanted to do with that yet. I might make another video on that. I might post it in my stories. I might make it a reel. Last night when I was kind of going over what I wanted to do with it, the Lord actually put something else on my heart to talk about. And so I'm not going to be talking about that video, but like I said, I don't know how I'm going to post it yet. I might post it in a reel or make another video. But the Lord told me to talk about fear. And I remember a while, not a while, maybe a couple months ago, making a little video about how afraid that I was. And speaking on that, but not really acknowledging the fact that I was really living in fear, right? And 2 Timothy 1:7 says that God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Y'all, I'll be talking fast. I'll be reading fast. So, God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. So, fear is not something that we should ever carry around. It's not something that we should ever be walking in, especially as Christians, especially as people who belong to Christ. And so I want to just kind of talk about fear and talk about how we can kind of combat the fear that we feel, because I feel like it's very like prevalent in our lives and in the world today. Fear is kind of running rampant. And so yes, fear can be described as an unpleasant, often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. And I think that the word anticipation really speaks volumes, because I really think that a lot of what we fear is not real per se. Maybe from experience, like the anticipation of something that happened before, or just how we perceive things and how we think of things, that can paralyze us and put us into fear as well. So, but just the anticipation of danger, we will just get into this flight or fright, even if that's not the case. But I do want to say this, like, being in control of your mind and in control of your thoughts as far as where fear is concerned, because I do feel like for the past maybe for a year or so, I was kind of walking in fear about a situation, and instead of me getting the results that I kind of wanted, I kind of got the results of all of the fear that I was dwelling in, which is ironic because like it wasn't the direction that I was going in, but mentally it was. So yeah, fear it's a very tricky thing. It's not something that we should be carrying, because fear can really paralyze us. It can harm us. Let's talk about it. We should never be walking in or participating in fear. Fear can affect our decisions and the outcomes that we make in this life. It can keep us from making decisions that help us grow and thrive, but it can also lead to avoidance. A very big one, which I believe dominates most people, and especially Christians, is that... Shut up. Yeah, that's my pup. is that a very big one, which I believe that dominates most people, and especially Christians, is that fear keeps us in like these comfort zones and make us afraid to take risk and pursue our dreams. Fear keeps us locked up in prisons and makes us and prisons of the comfortable and predictable, which prevents us from reaching our true potential. I see that so much, like just within in general, within everybody, like comfort and like being able to predict our lives and the outcome. It just keeps us from reaching our full potential. Last night when I was laying in bed, I was kind of going over some of my dreams and some of my plans, and God straight up told me, like, how are you going to do this and that when you are when you can't even do like small things? You know, you have big dreams, but you are small-minded, you know. And what I mean by that is fear. Fear makes us very, like, it just confines us, and it just puts us in this box that we should not be dwelling in at all. But I was just like, I was just laying in bed last night, and I was just thinking about after spending so much time alone, I think that I have developed like this comfort with just aloneness and solitude. You know, I kept saying when I first started making these videos that I wanted to make a video about loneliness and the likes of such, but I haven't been able to do that because I don't think that I fully understand it. I think that you know, I personally don't experience loneliness in the same way that other people do, but I also think that, you know, if I'm being 100% honest with myself, I do. I think that just because, you know, I spent so much time alone, you know, the needs and the feelings that maybe I do have, I don't prioritize them because you know, I have spent so much time by myself, and so I think that I have just become just way too comfortable in something that I believe was really only supposed to be a season of my life, right? It was only supposed to be a season. I am truly an introvert at heart, but who we are has nothing to do with what God calls us to, right? Let's think about Moses. Moses had a speaking disability, but he was still called to speak to Pharaoh and to speak to so many of the ancient Hebrews back then. And like, I just think that that's just like the nature of God. Like, that is what it really truly means for us to be able to die from self, not to be able to live in like this place of comfort. You know, like I said, I'm a natural introvert. It's so easy for me to be alone and to be chill and to just be, you know, it's not so much easy for me to be loud and be a people person and be kind of like, you know, I even have a fear of being needed to a certain degree. I haven't figured out why. I think that maybe like when you struggle to get your needs met in a way that they should be, you have a hard time meeting the needs of other people. You know, it's just like meeting people who had a hard life. They will try to convince you that because they had a hard life and they endured and they overcame, that a hard life should be given to so many people. And you know, I do think that there are things that we can instill in the younger generation, especially this generation, you know, where everything is so like easy and just offensive. And you know, I do think that there are things that we can instill, but I don't think that, you know, just because I've led a life of solitude and quiet, like I don't think that it's a life that works for everybody. And so just kind of coming out of that comfort, whatever fear that may be, coming out of that comfort. And God kind of gave me this analogy. He said it's kind of like being in a car, and you are in control of the Bluetooth, right? So when you're in a car by yourself, you can listen to any song you want to listen to. You can play it as many times as you want to play it. You can listen to your favorite part 1,000 times, like literally play the same part of a song 1,000,000 times, right? You can listen to a podcast. You can just really, you in control, right? But when you when you have a passenger now, you got to consider what other people want to listen to. You got to consider what other people want to hear. You got to consider, they might not want to be listening to no podcast. They definitely don't want to hear your favorite part of the song 1,000 times, So that's kind of like what it means to kind of come out of ourselves and, just kind of make this about something bigger than us. Like fear cannot dominate our lives. And just because God is calling you to a new season, that does not mean that first of all, like, fear is a real thing. Fear is something that everybody experiences. Even Moses experienced fear when God called him to what he called him to, right? That's how his cousin Aaron ended up going with him, because he like, oh, I can't speak, but I know somebody who can, Lord. Fear is something that we all kind of experience. It's something that we all kind of I think that, like, how we dwell in fear, it just plays a lot on who we are and like the outcomes we make, that type of thing. In a much bigger space, like where the analogy of the aux cord is concerned, we don't just share, as Christians, we don't just share music and videos, whatever. We share our time, we share our space, we share love, we share so many things that you can't necessarily share in solitude, in aloneness. And just because it's not comfortable to you, don't mean that it's not necessary for another person. Like, it's not needed for other people. Like, so let me just say this. I got invited to 2 places this weekend. One of my coworkers, she was making Sunday dinner. She wanted to cook. She wanted everybody to come over. And it sounded dope. But I didn't go. And then another coworker invited me out. She was making banana bread, and she just wanted somebody to come over and have a slice of banana bread. These are all things that might take a person out of their comfort zone, especially like me. They might just trigger my selfishness, per se, that I've kind of been dwelling in for some time now. And but these are things that might be big to the people who have asked. You don't know what people are going through when y'all are not around them. So you don't know how necessary it is sometimes for people to just see you, for people to just be able to hear a joke, for people to just be able to spend time with you. It's an issue, I believe, and especially with me, not being able to carve out of your day carve 2 hours out of your day for a person who may be in need, just because I'm not comfortable with the fact that I might be needed, and it's not even like a comfortability thing. I think that is just how I grew up, how I was raised. But every decision that we make is not about us, and it can't be about us, and we can't operate fully in the kingdom of God and operate in fear. I'm kind of excited about this season of my life for this exact reason, because to know this is to know, is to grow, is to become more open, is to become more available to people, places, and things. This is also a battle for me, because there's also like the struggle of not being a people pleaser, not being so available to people that I'm never available to myself. Like, you have to be kind of full to pour out. You have to have something to give, something to somebody, So there's that battle with that. Like, I don't want to be famous, but having a large following can be considered famous, per se. And so God might not be calling you to fame, but he might be calling you to large crowds. It happens so many times in the Bible, especially in the New Testament, when we see preachers like Jesus, like Paul, like a lot of just New Testament preachers who, when they would go out, they would be speaking to large crowds, whether you wanted to be famous or not. I'm reading the book of Acts, and one thing that I remember is, I want to say it was Paul and Silas who had, it might have been Paul and Barnabas who had they was performing miracles and stuff like that in the city, and people started treating them like they were famous. And they was like, why are y'all doing that? We are merely just human like you. I think it's that fear, but also like we see how they handled it. We see how they was able to be like, so I think that a lot of the stuff that we fear, like it's really not real. It's really not it's really not what all we think that it is. And yeah, like we can't dwell in fear, and like it's not as real as we make it. Like the things that we fear, they're not real. We can all experience fear in so many things. Fear keeps us from relationships. It keeps us from learning and growing, making wise decisions. Fear of failure leads people to avoid challenges, set lower standards, and choose easy goals. Fear of uncertainty can keep people from trying something different because they're not sure if it will make their life better. Fear of rejection can cause people to avoid meeting new people or entering into relationships. Y'all, fear can keep us in a cycle of defeat and frustration. We can't walk in fear, y'all. We cannot walk in fear. So now, what do we do? Like, how do we combat? Because, fear is just something that we always fear. You can fear being a mother. You can fear being a father. You can fear being a friend. You can fear being a worker. Like, there are so many things that we can have fear of, but we can't let them hinder us, especially in the kingdom, and especially for where and for what God has called us to. Let me also add this. Fear is a complex human emotion, and it can be positive and healthy because it can also keep us safe, right? It's just about recognizing the fear that you carry. I don't like roller coasters. I really don't. I don't like when my heart drops. Okay, that hurts. It's not fun. So for me, I might feel a little bit of fear. Not yet. I might feel a little bit of fear before I get on a ride. Just because, and that's going to keep me safe, because I'm not about to be getting on a ride and then the screws is loose, then I'm flying through the air. Okay, I know it don't happen a lot, but it just might happen when I'm about to get on a ride. So I don't really be liking no roller coasters. That heart dropping stuff, like, why? Where is my heart? Like, where? I don't understand it. I don't know. It's fun sometimes, but like after a few rides, like I'm gonna keep it through. So we overcome fear by faith. How do we overcome fear by faith? I know that's like a cliche answer, but that is the answer. Like, you overcome fear by faith. Faith in God, it cancels and conquers fear. Faith sets us free from bondage, guilt, and condemnation. Faith gives us courage, confidence, and hope. So what are you believing for exactly, and why? Because that really plays a big role in why and where you need to have faith. Why you cannot walk in fear. When I was going over this last night and God was showing me all of my dreams and showing me, I really do have big dreams. I really do have like large goals. And like fear, it wouldn't accommodate none of my goals, none of my dreams. The fear that I find myself walking in, the fear of having to step out of my comfort zone, of having to share my time and share my space, like the fear of not being alone, which really, I done spent so much time alone, y'all. I should really be excited to not have to be in that place no more. So I think that comes with, though, like, just understanding what are you expecting, what exactly do you need. Like, we have to even be honest about what we need, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in taking a step, like, I don't know, we just got to be honest about like, just what we need, where we going. You can't talk to the nations if you really can't talk to your neighbor. Like, it sounds like it's easy to pray for the nations, and it might be. It's easier for me to make videos on Facebook than it would probably be for me to get on stage and say the same thing that I'm saying, in front of people. It's easier for me to pray for somebody over the phone than it might be for me to, well, that's not really, I mean, for anybody, it might be easier to pray over the phone than it is to pray for people in real life. But you got a dream of, like, opening up, like, a prayer center or something. You see how crazy that is. So fear doesn't accommodate our dreams for the most part. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. Faith helps us show up for much. Faith provides the much. Faith is much. Faith is, I don't know. If you were believing for a husband, faith would lead you to do the things that would be required to get a husband. If you were believing for kids, faith would lead you to do the things that would be required to have kids. If you were believing to buy a house, faith would lead you to those things that's necessary and required to buy a house. So, like, I don't know, it's just like just the responsibility of faith. There is a responsibility of faith. There is a responsibility to our dreams. There is just this responsibility that we have, that fear, it plays no part. Yeah, like I said, part of living for others is dying to ourselves. And, like, we cannot let fear keep us from all of the things that God has called us to. Just imagine if Jesus, who spent a good, I believe he began his refining process when he was 12. I'm not really sure, don't quote me, but Jesus was in a refining process until he was 30, until he was released into ministry. Now, just imagine if Jesus would have been like, well, I enjoy the quiet, I enjoy the solitude, I'm not about to go heal all these people, and I'm not about to go perform all these miracles, like, I don't recall Jesus speaking in front of crowds before it was his time, but just imagine if he would have been like, oh, I've never spoken to a crowd before, I'm not, just imagine how fear could have hindered even our ability to receive eternity and salvation. I'm trying to make sure I get everything that I want to say, and I think I'm pretty much done covered it all. When I be rewatching these videos, I be like, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. But yeah, we just have a responsibility we call to, and faith is the answer to that responsibility. We got to just come outside of ourselves, and to be good, you have to die to yourself. That's really just the main things that I want us to take away from this. Faith just encourages us to do the things, like I said, that lead to what we believe in for. So, like, we want to just be being led by faith instead of fear. Faith instead of fear. Faith over fear. I'm going to say that. I'm probably going to be saying this all month. Faith over fear. Faith over fear. Because I didn't realize how much fear really did have, like, such a strong hold on me and on my life, And you can even call it arrogance and pride in a way, because like, our comfort can make us prideful, right? oh, I'm not gonna do none of that because, you know, I'm not used to that. I'm not, you know. And that can make us prideful. It can also make us arrogant. It could also make us unavailable to God's will. So, faith over fear. Let's just practice that this week, for the rest of the month, for the rest of the year. Faith over fear. I love y'all. Thank y'all for taking the time out to listen to me, to listen to this video. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. Faith over fear.